As you can see, got my kids, some friends and their children, and everybody's going to try and make sushi. We're going to use two different types. One is nori, or seaweed paper. If you take a very close look, you can see that there are striations this way and a cross pattern. You want to put it so that the thicker cross pattern goes away from you or is perpendicular to you. The other option that can be used is a rice paper. It does take a little bit of process to do. You need to leave it in water to soften so that it rolls properly. And saran wrap is recommended just because it's easier to roll it up and then process afterwards by cutting. So, first thing you want to make sure as well is that you have a bit of rice wine vinegar and some water. You can see I have all of the items that we were preparing earlier laid out ahead of me, and we have sushi rice, which has been prepared. We will begin by dipping our fingers into the vinegar and water solution. Makes it so that the sushi rice doesn't stick to our fingers quite as much. It'll still stick a little bit because it does have a lot of gluten, but you find that it'll stick less with the vinegar water solution. So what we want to do is grab a healthy amount. Move it across here. And make it nice and flat. It wants to be about 2/3 of the distance of the actual sushi roll or the nori paper, and you want to go from end to end. Add as much as you need, and you want to compress it down to approximately a 1/4 inch thickness. At the top of the roll, you want to leave enough space that the first digit of your middle finger passes from end to end, and at the back, about enough for 2 digits across. Now, first roll I'm going to put together is a California, which has a little bit of cream cheese, crab stick, always going to put a little bit of avocado. You want to make it so that the avocado goes the entire distance of the roll. So in this case, I think we'll just pull it apart a little bit so that it stays the entire distance. Here we are. We also want to put a little bit of a crunch, so we'll put some celery. Now, we've got a little bit at the front here, a little bit at the back, and as you can see, it's laid out pretty simply. Now, to make this work, take a little bit more of the water and dip it on the back end of the nori so that it's not wet, but it's moist. Then, you pick up the end of the rolling mat and you press down on the edge, pull it across, and you want to bring it down relatively firm. As you can see, the two edges of the nori are meeting. Then you want to take another piece or another bit of the liquid and press it to join just lightly the edges of the nori with the rest. Now, take the remainder, you roll it forward until you have a roll. You want to bring the wrapper together so that it is all one piece, and the ideal is to grip it with both hands and press lightly from the middle out. Doing this, make sure that you get an even roll across the entire distance, and everything inside is very nicely standard. Now, everybody thinks of sushi as fish or mock crab or something similar. I can make it a bit of turf too. Remember earlier I cooked some beef this option is spicy and the other is regular. I'm going to use spicy because that's what I like. So we're going to start with the beef. We're going to lay it across. You can see that I've used about the same amount of rice as the last time. And we'll go straight across, leaving it running out the edges a little bit. Then I'm going to reach over and I'm going to take some of the green onions, which go very well with beef. Again, we're going to go back to the avocado, a staple of sushi making. And I'm going to add some cucumber into this one. So, just like last time, we're going to put our hands on the top to hold the compression slowly as we roll it over. And we're going to push down a little bit. Squeeze it in. Again, I've left a little gap at the front with the nori down so that I can take some more of the liquid and run it along here. So again, we have binding between the seaweed nori on the top and the bottom piece. Now, put a little bit more just on here to promote sticking as it rolls. I'm going to roll it over, pick it up. Again, we have the nice roll. We're going to grasp it firmly in the center, press with even pressure, and close the roll in itself. We're ready to go. We can reveal it. And again, we're ready to go. You can see a little bit of extra coming out the sides, but that's okay. That's why everybody likes the end roll. They get a little bit more. Right. Now, I'm a meat eater. Well, I eat everything. But there are people out there who prefer vegetarian fare. So I'm not going to make a vegan sushi, but I will make a vegetarian version. So in this case, we're even going to dip very briefly into the fruit category. So here we're going to start again with the cream cheese that we had last time. We're going to pair that with some mango stripped earlier. Then we're going to go back to the cucumber. And I think, of course, we will not forget the avocado. Here we go. Alright, technique is exactly the same as before. We put a little bit of the liquid on the back of the roll and tamp it down. Peel back. Put a little bit of liquid here. And then we're going to roll into it. Roll it up. And again, squeeze from the middle out, providing a nice, oh, see, we've got even more sticking out this time, but that's okay. We reveal the roll, and we'll pinch off a little bit of this because it's just a bit too much, and then we're ready to go. Right, so I have the 3 rolls that I made earlier here. We're going to go from the fish to the beef to the vegetarian. Now, if I had picky crowds, I would have different knives for each, but in this case, most of the people I know don't really mind mixing it a little bit, so I'll just cut as we go. Again, the carbon steel knife I told you about earlier, the reason it's got the holes is because it helps it cut through faster. Now, you still want to have a little bit of the vinegar solution on hand, because sometimes it does stick, and when it does, you want to take it out with your finger and just wet the edge of the blade. Be careful when you're doing it, you don't want to cut yourself. So here's the first piece. What we're going to do is we're going to line it up right in front of us. We're going to go at about the center, and we're going to go in one fluid motion, straight through. Now you can see there's a little bit of goo left over. If you take your fingers and you wipe it along the knife, you'll see that it basically goes away. So now, if we take a look, this is a relatively simple roll inside. There's not a whole lot to it, but you get to see a little bit of everything. Now, the professional cutters will turn the rolls after that, and we'll go from the center out. Now, this is an 8 roll. 8 rolls are pretty simple. They usually give you a good amount of sushi for everybody to enjoy. So we'll put that on the plate. Work on the beef next. Now the beef can be sometimes hard to cut into, so you want to make sure that you have a very fluid, swift motion when you work through it. So we're going to go just like that. Now if we take a look, you can see the outside of the beef is well seared, and the inside is just a little bit raw. But of course, for good quality Angus beef, you don't need to worry. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more delicate with this one. So I'm going to go into the center, and I'm actually going to try and cat 12 out of this one. So we're going to go a little bit smaller, and you can see we're sticking out a little bit with our materials, but that's okay. I'm going to come back here, trim, and the last piece is here. There we go. Now, the roll might start to fall apart a little bit. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. In the end, everything's going to look really nice. So, last piece. We're ready to go. Straight down the center, turning it over. And the more that you do it, the more you're going to find it's easier to cut and process the items. And when you get really good at it, you can host parties. And believe me, this finger food will make a lot of people jealous. Take care.